Hey guys, this is Animedesu and this recap of I Parry Everything Season 1. Nor was a young man living in a fantasy world who was pretty strong for his age and very well liked by everyone in the town. He worked a job requiring manual labor, but even his boss was impressed by his work and never said a word against him, as he was the best worker he had ever seen. One day, after taking his daily wage, he was about to head back when he suddenly heard the voice of a woman screaming for help coming from a nearby cave. He immediately rushed over, even after his boss told him not to as it could be dangerous. He ignored everyone's warnings and entered the cave, only to see a girl wrapped in magical barbed wire while an adventurous party faced off against a giant demonic bull. Ever since he was a child, Nor always had to take care of his mother and the household, because his father never came back. But he took it like a champ and started taking care of the house. His mom was sickly and mostly bedridden, so he made hot soup for her to drink while covered in soot and told her that he was going out to hunt some rabbits so she could have some protein for dinner. His mother cleaned his face while apologizing for not being able to give him anything in life, but Nor put on a brave face and told her he didn't need anything anyway. Later that night, he prepared a hearty rabbit stew for his mom, but when he came back to feed her, she had already passed away. Now, poor Nor had no one to call family in this world. He buried his mother outside the house but decided that he couldn't be weak and cry. He started living alone, tending to the garden, catching game, taking care of the farm animals, and studying inside his room after thoroughly cleaning it. He trained his body by catching wild fish, carrying heavy loads on the mountains, and eating lots of protein every day. One night, due to loneliness, he climbed on top of a chair and took out an old dusty storybook and started reading it. This took him way back as he remembered the time when his family was whole and his father would tell him tales about mighty adventurers who fought colossal dragons, learned magic from wizards, lifted curses in the haunted forest, and fought against an army of elves. These stories always fascinated him as his father would tell him that the duty of an adventurer is to protect the weak people and make sure they are never hurt. This gave him inspiration to do something with his life, and the next day, after tending to the animals, he got ready to leave his home and move towards the city to try and be an adventurer. He stayed in the forest at night with a campfire, and by the next morning he arrived at the beautiful city of his kingdom. He entered the giant main gate and was completely blown away to see the number of people roaming around the markets, selling their goods and people buying swords and fruits at the same place. While walking, he noticed a man with a sword and decided to follow him, which led him to the Adventurers Guild. He entered the establishment to find a big burly man at the reception instead of a thick furry girl. Disappointed, he told the man that he was here to be an adventurer, but the man brushed him off, saying that this was no place for kids and that he should think about his parents. Nor replied that his parents were dead, which caught the man's attention, and he told him to drop by the training school first. Nor seemed confused, but the man told him that to join a guild he needed to pick a school, go through basic training, pick his class and skills, and only after graduating could he become an adventurer. Nor was happy for the information and excitedly headed over to a school with the aim to become the strongest swordsman. He enrolled and started training in the way of the sword, but even after several weeks, while every other student started awakening their magical potential, Nor still had no magical abilities. He kept practicing, and several months passed by, after which the instructor told him that he didn't have the talent and was wasting his time there. He was told to join a different school as he was definitely not fit to be a swordsman. Nor didn't give up and found another school, deciding to train as a warrior. He started training under a big fat redhead, but even after going through intense training for several months, the redhead told him that he didn't have the talent for it, as all he had learned was how to parry attacks. He then went through several different schools first as a hunter, but he got kicked out. Then he tried to become a thief but got rejected as he had no talent for it. He then tried to become a magician but failed even in that. So finally he decided to become a healer but failed and returned back disappointed. The man at the guild was shocked to learn that even after spending months at every school, Nor didn't learn a single thing and told him that, unfortunately, there was nothing he could do to become an adventurer.
たった一振りで山のように大きな竜。やったウォリアー、冒険者っぽいぞ。
能力をわずかに上げることだけだ。すぐに命を落とすことになる。
ハンター。
天才の道具を扱うセンスが。
空箱の罠も解除でき
やってもプチファイヤー一つとは。
クレリック。
擦り傷を癒す程度とはいえ。
Disappointed in himself, Nor left the city and returned back to his cottage in the woods. But he decided that he was not going to admit defeat and created his own training setup with a sword. He decided to perfect the one move that he learned, which was to parry and deflect attacks aimed at him. He spent days perfecting it, day and night, and finally, after a year of rigorous training, he became strong enough to parry 10 attacks at once. He decided to keep training, and 3 years passed by, after which he managed to parry 100 swords at once but gained no new skills. He kept training endlessly to the point where his sword broke, 14 years passed by as he realized that in these past years, he had trained every single day and was now able to parry 1,000 swords at once without fail. Despite putting in this much hard work, he didn't gain any new skills but still decided to head over to the Adventurers Guild once more. This time he met a young girl who looked at his skill set only to advise him to visit the training school. Nor told her that he had already been through them, which surprised the girl as she told him that he didn't have any skills to make him an adventurer. Nor got disheartened once again when the man at the reception came out and barely recognized him. They sat down to talk over some beer when Nor told him about his training for the past years. The man told him that there are ranks in an adventurer from E to S, but even to become E rank, you need at least one skill, which Nor didn't have. Nor got sad, but the man told him that not many people knew, but there was another rank below E, which was F. There are some limitations for F-rank adventurers as they can't take kill quests or work in the forests. Outside the city they can only take odd manual labor jobs in the city, but no one would really want to do that. To his surprise, Nor immediately accepted and finally got his adventurer's license. He started doing odd jobs around the city like carrying heavy loads, finding lost cats, and kept training every single night. He also took nursing jobs and took care of old people by cooking for them. While doing all this, he kept training and seemed to be happy working as an adventurer who could actually help people. Finally, we come back to the present where the giant bull walked towards the adventurers and smashed the leader with his axe, sending him flying into the wall. Nor quickly checked him only to find out that he was dead. He looked back to see the other guys getting skewered by the bull, as it killed every single person in the area effortlessly before moving its eyes onto the white-haired girl. Nor's body immediately jumped into action as he threw a rock at the bull and diverted its attention before running away. The monster chased him with surprising quickness, and Nor realized that he couldn't run away, so he turned around and parried the bull's attack. To his surprise, the parry was so strong that the bull got blasted into the wall. It immediately recovered and jumped through the dust to attack Nor, but he was able to parry the attacks again and again as he realized that if he missed a single parry, he was as good as dead. He tried to find an opening but realized that he didn't have a single offensive skill to actually land an attack. His sword started chipping, but the demon turned towards the girl and rushed towards her. Nor immediately used his feather step ability, which increased his speed, to appear before the bull and deflect the attack once again at the cost of his own sword. He remembered his father telling him that an adventurer defends the weak even at the cost of his own life, so he stood his ground even with a broken sword. This time, when the monster attacked, Nor parried with all his might, which deflected the axe so much that it bounced back and chopped the head of the bull cleanly before getting stuck in the rocks. The girl was utterly shocked as blood splattered all around the area, but the magical barbed wire disappeared from her body. The girl immediately thanked him for saving her life and asked for his name, but Nor replied that his name wasn't worth remembering and walked back outside. He walked through the streets thinking about how he almost got killed by a giant cow and realized that he needed to train even more if he wanted to truly become an adventurer who could protect people. After Nor was gone, the dungeon gets filled with the white-haired woman's guards. As she turns out to be Lin Clay of a noble family, her personal guard arrives and watches the dead minotaur being inspected by the scientists, while Clay's guards lay dead on the ground covered by a white cloth. She immediately apologizes for not being here for her protection, but she tells him not to worry about it as it wasn't her fault. A little while later, another man named Dar enters and asks whether she is fine and details about what happened here. The news about the attack reaches her brother Ray, who is completely shocked to find out that his sister was attacked by such a monster. He asks Dar whether he has any idea what a minotaur was doing on the surface when it is supposed to stay in the innermost depths of the dungeons. Dar bows down and explains that this was definitely an assassination attempt, as they found out that the ring Lin recently bought from a merchant was tested by a magician, revealing that it had a mana stone of 90% purity, which is extremely rare. Ray still seems unclear as he doesn't understand why a minotaur would want a mana stone, but Dar reveals that he believes the mana stone was cursed by the neighboring enemy kingdom of Derry, who are known for practicing dark magic. Ray agrees with this assumption, as lately Derry's army has been harassing them on the outskirts, and now such a brazen attack on Lin without even trying to hide it proves that they want a war. Ray then asks Dar about the man who saved Lin's life, but Dar claims that they know nothing about the man apart from the fact that he killed the minotaur with his broadsword in a matter of minutes but escaped quickly afterwards without even telling his name to Lin. The next morning, Nor goes into the guild as if nothing happened, when Fatty immediately walks up to him asking if he is fine. Nor seems confused, so Fatty explains that last night a deadly monster emerged in the caves near his construction site, which is why he was worried. Nor has no idea that Fatty is talking about the minotaur that he killed last night, as he thought it must be a low-level cow monster since he managed to defeat it. Fatty tells Nor that he is lucky that he left beforehand, because even a former ranked adventurer like him couldn't have done anything against such a strong beast. Nor wipes the dirt from his face and wonders what kind of monster could it be that even a ranked adventurer is scared of it, and then thanks the gods that he only faced off against a giant cow. Noor asks what happened to the monster, and Fatty replies that some mystery man ended up killing the beast in a single blow, which really shocks Noor as he wonders how strong that man must be to kill such a monster, not realizing that he is the man Fatty is talking about. Later, Fatty gives him his pay for the day, but tells him to get a real job as well, otherwise he won't be able to earn much. Before he could reply though, a hooded figure appears behind him and calls him out. Noor turns around only to find the white-haired girl he saved yesterday and asks how did she find him. She apologizes for following him, but claims that she used her long-distance detection skill to find him.
それでその魔物はどうなったんだ？いいでな。そうか。ほらよ、昨日の働まだまともな仕事。なあ、ノール。まともな？俺はもう3割増しぐらいで稼げてる。
見つけました。やっとかとは思ったのですが、基本とするのは本来マジ程度のものです。
そんなことはないだろう。
He asks whether she learned it from the thief schools, but she claims that she is from the magician branch but has equal skills in all the 6 branches. Lin notices that she is drawing way too much attention and asks Noor whether they can talk somewhere more private, but before he could reply, Fatty grabs him and asks what the hell did he do. Noor replies that he didn't do anything wrong while Lin deploys a soundproof barrier and asks him to come with her. They both exit the building and walk through the streets to a desolate area where she tells him that she really wanted to thank him, as not only did he save her life, but he also saved the lives of a lot of citizens. Noor still doesn't know how strong he is, so he claims that she is so talented and he must have ruined her plans by butting his head in between. She tells him that it's not true, in fact, if he didn't come to her aid, she would have probably died there. She then claims that she wants to reward him for his help, but Noor immediately replies that her gratitude is enough. Lin, however, is not so easily pushed away, and she tells him that she is a person of status here, and even her father would like to thank him personally. He, again, refuses, which shocks Lin, who has no idea why a man would refuse a reward from a noble. She asks whether there is anything troubling him and even claims that her father will give him a lot of land if he wants it, but Noor keeps rejecting her offers. He tells her that he doesn't need anything from her, which makes her tear up as she feels obligated to repay him for his help. She tells him that she won't move from this place till he accepts her gratitude, which reminds him of the time when he did the same to one of the instructors of the healing school branch. He finally gives in and agrees to meet with her father but refuses to take any over-the-top rewards. This makes her happy enough and she uses magic to conceal both herself and him as they walk through the city back to her mansion. When they finally reach her house, Noor is completely shocked as he has never seen such a big and lavish place. They walk by the guards and enter inside, while Noor wonders whether this girl is a noble if she is so rich.
でかいな。
少し一般的な作りではますが、中へどうぞ。といえば、まだお名前をクレイスと申します。
On the way, they end up running into her personal guard, Inai, who looks at him suspiciously and asks who he is. Lin tells her that this is the man who saved her life, and she immediately softens up, claiming that she will take them to the Lord. They follow Inai through the gallery when Noor spots a guy wearing yellow armor waiting by the window. He immediately jumps into action, spinning his lance before pointing it towards Noor, asking who the hell he is. Annie tells him to back off as he is Lin's guest. But this Pikachu-looking guy ends up making fun of Noor for looking poor. Annie introduces him as Gil and asks him to accompany them into the room, as she still doesn't fully trust Noor. They wait outside the hall as Lin's father, Clay, was talking to his son about the chances of war increasing, as they remember the last time they met with the King of Derry, who ended up insulting them and threatened to wage war against them if they didn't give them access to all the dungeons in their kingdom. Soon the door opens, and they all enter the hall. Both Inai and Gil drop to one knee in front of their lord, but Noor has no clue who the man on the high seat is, so he simply walks ahead without a care, alongside Lin. She introduces him to her father, claiming that this is the man who saved her life, and immediately the lord gets up from his seat and moves towards Noor, thanking him for saving the life of his girl. Noor tells him that he is not a noble and has never talked to nobles before, so he doesn't know how to properly behave, but the Lord doesn't seem to mind as he laughs and shakes his hand before asking him to choose anything that he wants for a reward. Noor immediately declines, claiming that he neither wants land nor gold. The Lord seems confused but tells him that if he wants, he can have half the treasure of the oldest dungeons in the world that fall in their kingdom. Ray advises against it, as the treasure is worth more than a small country's GDP, but to their surprise, Noor refuses it as well, claiming that he doesn't want any kind of gift from them. The Lord looks confused as to what sort of man would refuse such a gift. He then walks over to his seat and takes out the giant black sword behind it, which used to be his personal weapon during his adventuring days. Ray seems a bit worried, but his father tells him that it's fine, as the sword should be used in battle and not kept as a decoration. He hands it over to Noor, who grabs the handle and immediately realizes that the weapon is heavier than anything that he has ever used. Nor thinks that it is just a random secondhand sword, so he decides to accept it as a gift, as he wanted all of this to end quickly so he could go back to work. The Lord asks him to swing it once, and to his surprise, Nor simply uses one hand to swing the sword so strongly that it creates a wind blast around them. Nor looks at the Lord and tells him that it's a bit heavy but he will manage, which makes Clay laugh as he can't believe this man just swung a two-handed greatsword with a single hand. Clay asks whether he would like to train Lin a little bit, as it is getting very dangerous nowadays, which puts a smile on the girl's face, but Nor immediately declines, claiming that there is nothing he could teach her, and decides to leave. On the way through their gallery, he looks at the sword once again and realizes that it is the same size as the drainage ditch, which means that he can use it to scoop out dirt from the ditch much more efficiently. Gil leads Nor through a hallway, and Nor wonders where he is being taken because he just wants to go back to work. To his surprise, Gil brings him to a training arena for a mock duel between them. This shocks Nor because he has not sparred hard with anyone since his days in training school. Gil picks up a wooden pole for practice and reveals that he is quite famous in the capital. Then he asks Nor to choose his weapon as well. Nor thinks this is an excellent chance to learn from a veteran and chooses a regular wooden sword. He doesn't think he will be much of an opponent to Gil, but is still planning to give it his all. Gil attacks first, thrusting his staff at Nor, who easily dodges his attacks. Nor can see how effortless and efficient Gil's moves are, revealing how much he has trained, but for some reason Gil appears to be moving very slowly to Nor. He believes that Gil is just holding back his strength out of consideration for a newbie like him. Nor calls a timeout and tells Gil that he doesn't need to hold back so much. Gil decides to get serious and launches his attacks with much higher intensity this time. However, Nor is able to find openings in Gil's defense every time he misses an attack. On the other hand, Gil is frustrated that his strikes are not connecting with Nor. So, Gil decides to use a flex attack, changing his trajectory at the last moment, forcing Nor to jump. He uses this chance to strike, but Nor dodges the attack despite its destructive potential. Nor asks Gil to increase the pace even more, indicating he is comfortable with the current intensity. Gil was already using his full abilities, so hearing those words hurts his ego. Nor realizes he might actually be stronger than Gil, but he suddenly finds himself on the receiving end of Gil's special move. The attack is dangerously close, but Nor manages to dodge it. After seeing the destructive power of Gil's attack, Nor declares he no longer wishes to fight and leaves the palace.
そいつは悪かったな。だがそれよりさっきより格段に速いに無防備になっている。どうだ。
However, his skill causes an uproar among other knights who can't believe he could dodge their captain's special attack. Some speculate that Nor survived only because Gil was using a practice spear, otherwise, a genius like Gil could easily defeat anyone. Hearing these words takes the depressed Gil down memory lane. He was always talented with a spear and traveled all around the kingdom seeking powerful opponents. No one could give him a proper challenge, and Gil got bored. He joined the knights in the capital to fight monsters, but even they were no match for his strength and skill. His boredom persisted until one day, the master of the sword school visited him. The master, who trained Gil in his early days, listened to Gil's frustrations. Gil expressed how boring it was to be so strong and wished for stronger opponents. The master only told him that someday a student who surpasses him will emerge. Gil hoped this person would appear while he was still alive to relieve his boredom. Now, Gil thinks about Nor, who surprised him during their duel. Initially unimpressed by Nor's apparent strength, Gil realized during their spar that Nor was much stronger than he looked. When Nor asked Gil to go faster, Gil used his special attack, faster than the speed of sound. Despite knowing no human could survive it, Nor dodged the attack, leaving Gil feeling defeated. Gil believes Nor ended the fight to spare his embarrassment in front of the troops. Before leaving, Nor mentioned looking forward to their next meeting, which Gil interprets as a challenge to get stronger. Nor, however, remains unaware of how highly Gil rates him. He used his skills to evade Gil's ultimate attack and realizes Gil adjusted the speed deliberately. Nor is grateful to Gil for showing him he still needs training. The next day, Nor cleans drains with the treasured sword from the king. He's stunned by its performance. Later, sitting in the forest after the construction site was suspended due to the Minotaur incident, he wonders how to pass the time and use the sword. He lacks resources for other businesses and finds his fire magic too weak for barbecues. Nor hears footsteps and finds Lin, who seeks him out. She asks to be his apprentice, eager to learn from him while serving him. Nor refuses, saying he cannot teach her anything and is self-sufficient. Lin offers monetary rewards, but Nor declines. Lin insists, demonstrating her magic prowess with icicle lances and powerful fire spells. She cuts down a tree with a dagger and blasts a tree behind, Nor with a magic sword skill. Lin believes Nor will accept her as an apprentice after this display, but he still refuses. He realizes Lin overestimates him and wants to show her he is not as skilled as she thinks. Nor creates a tiny fireball to demonstrate his loser skill. Lin is shocked. Recalling tales of a talentless boy, she realizes Nor's ability surpasses the strongest magicians in the world. She concludes he is a peerless master in other branches too. Ashamed of her pride in her recent skills, Lin sees Nor as someone who doesn't boast and helps others with even mundane tasks. As a future princess, Lin believes she must learn from Nor to lead the kingdom alongside her brother. She reaches out to Nor again after dinner, asking him to be her master. Troubled, Nor just wants to go home. Meanwhile, Lin's elder brother Ray is in his office, wondering why his father chose to give away the legendary black sword to a complete stranger. He recalls how his father ventured into the dungeon in his youth, along with the masters of the 6 job schools. After a very long exploration, he obtained the Black Blade, which was instantly regarded as their most valuable artifact. It was made with an unknown metal that was harder than anything else they knew about. It was practically indestructible, with neither physical attacks nor magic managing to scratch it. However, everyone wondered how such a powerful sword could be in such a terrible condition. Ray believes that the value of the Black Blade far surpasses any treasure they have, and it is not something his father would give to a man he did not see something special in. He knows that his dad can sense the dangers that are starting to envelop their kingdom and probably entrusted the sword to Nor to say that he is pinning all the hope to save the kingdom on his shoulders. Even Ray believes that Nor is not an ordinary person, and when the time comes, he will become their trump card. At the same time, Nor is in the city eating a delicious meal from a roadside stall with Lin by his side. She has completely gotten into the role of his apprentice, and he wants to tell her that he is not worth being her teacher. He thinks that if they head to the guild, she will see how pathetic he is and stop following him around. Once they reach the guild, the fatty immediately questions Nor about why he is with a princess. Nor says that it is complicated, so Fatty decides to let them have their privacy, even though Nor badly wants some advice from him. Fatty then asks them what they want, and Nor says that they would like a commission for 2 people since Lin is a B-rank adventurer. Fatty says that if she joins a party with Nor, they can go outside the city to hunt goblins. Nor is flabbergasted on hearing this because he has only heard stories about how real adventurers use goblins as their practice dummies. He can't believe that the day he finally does the same has come. But then he realizes that he is taking advantage of Lin's high rank. Even though he wanted her to leave him alone just now, Nor finds Lin staring at him, so he feels terrible and thinks that she has seen how greedy and shameless he is. She asks him if anything is wrong, and he asks if she is fine with this arrangement because he is relying on her rank. Lin has no problem with that and tells Nor that he is free to use anything that belongs to her. Nor feels a little pathetic, but he doesn't care because he can live out his dream. Finally, he marches out of the guild with determination, but then Fatty calls him back because he doesn't even know where the goblins are. Fatty completes the paperwork and then tells Nor not to push his luck because even if goblins are low-level monsters, they can still be dangerous. He points out their location on the map and remarks that lately their numbers have decreased. He asks Nor to collect goblin ears for his reward and then sends him off. Nor and Lin enter the Forest of Beasts, and Nor is surprised because he has never seen this part of the forest before. He tells Lin about how the trees are different in the south, where he comes from, and she gives him a brief lecture about the ecosystem. Nor then asks her about goblins, and Lin says that they are small monsters who prey on fruits and small creatures, but their numbers increase quite rapidly. If the numbers increase beyond a limit, the forest can no longer supply them with fruit, so they attack human settlements. That is why the Adventurer Guild sends people to keep their numbers on the low side but forbids them from being wiped out because goblins are beneficial for the ecosystem too. Nor is impressed by Lin's knowledge and thinks that he has even less he can teach her. They keep walking towards the denser parts of the forest, but even with her detection skills, Lin cannot find any trace of goblins. However, she senses something at a distance and tells Nor that they should check it out.
実際にこの森もと言われているので、
なるほど。幅広い知識も持っているのか。
そのため定期的に冒険者が飼って森で木の実や小動物を捕食。体が少し違うんです。
そうなのか。リン。
やはりいませんね。
The deeper they go into the forest, the darker it becomes, and the mist surrounding them also begins to thicken. Once they reach the spot where Lin had sensed the monster, they find nothing. She remarks that the presence of the monster simply vanished, but Nor senses something unusual in the rustling of the leaves. He looks ahead and finds the half-eaten body of a goblin floating in the air, and it suddenly falls to the ground. Lin immediately uses a spell to uncover whoever is behind it, and a huge green monster with a red crystal on its forehead becomes visible. Nor is shocked and asks who this cousin of the Incredible Hulk is. She tries telling him that it is a goblin emperor, however, she stutters, and Nor only hears that the monster is a goblin. He freaks out, thinking that this is the normal size of a goblin, and if real adventurers can use them as practice material, they must be really amazing. The goblin emperor uproots trees with his bare hands and roars loudly, terrifying Lin. She knows that even a goblin king is a calamity-class monster that is not easy to deal with, and the goblin emperor is leagues stronger than it. She knows that the goblin emperor is not a natural monster but an artificial one created through taboo experiments. She is terrified of it, and Nor thinks that even though she is powerful, she must never have fought monsters before. He tells her not to worry about anything because their opponent is just a goblin. His words give her courage, and she thinks that maybe Nor predicted that a monster of this level was already here, which is why he was so excited to come here. She takes her stance next to him, certain that she can defeat the goblin emperor alongside her teacher. The goblin emperor charges at them with a tree trunk in each arm. Nor blocks his first attack and parries it, and manages to parry the second attack too. After that, the goblin emperor tries to push him into a corner with brute force, but Nor still overwhelms it with a parry. This disbalances the goblin, and Lin tries hitting it with wind and ice magic, but the goblin is remarkably agile and dodges all her attacks. The goblin emperor yeets a tree towards her, but Nor parries it. He asks Lin if she is fine, and she tells him to keep his attention on the goblin, who is throwing more trees towards him. Nor continues to parry them, but he's getting tired now. Lin notices that whatever little injuries the goblin emperor is receiving are healing unnaturally fast, and she believes that the red mana stone on its forehead is the reason behind that. Suddenly, the goblin emperor throws 3 trees towards Nor at once, and he panics because he won't be able to parry all of them at once. Luckily, Lin comes in clutch with a powerful wind magic that blows away all the trees. Her attack damages the goblin, but it heals from the injuries instantly.
額の魔石あれを取り除けばなんとか
まさか俺が弾けるか守りきれないでいたのかはい
ウィンドブラスター
Now, Lin is certain that they need to get the mana stone out of its head to defeat it, but Nor doesn't think they can manage to do that. Suddenly, he gets an idea and asks Lin to shoot the powerful wind magic from earlier at his back. She warns him that the spell is powerful enough to tear castle walls, but Nor plans to take the blow using his black blade so that he can accelerate towards the goblin emperor faster than it can react. Lin agrees and shoots his back with a powerful wind blast. Nor is sent speeding ahead, and despite using the physical enhancement skill, he still breaks a bone. He dodges the tree thrown at him by the goblin and then quickly heals himself before jumping high up to deliver the finishing blow. The goblin emperor tries attacking him with a tree, but Nor's powerful strike cuts through the tree and hits the mana stone on the goblin's head. The mana stone pops out of its socket, and the goblin screeches in pain as Nor is sent rolling on the ground. He gets up and sees the goblin writhing in pain, and then Lin comes to him with the mana stone she has safely retrieved. Nor then asks her if she can deal with the goblin by herself now, and she accepts his request. He doesn't feel good seeing the suffering monster, so he asks Lin to make it as peaceful as possible. She affirms and then, ironically, proceeds to burn the goblin emperor to death. Nor pays the monster his sympathies, and then thinks that he has had enough of goblin hunting for a while. He thinks that he is still too weak to even face fodder-level monsters, so he should train harder before coming to the forest again. Later, the secret agents serving Ray bring the mana stone to him and report about the goblin emperor case. Just by seeing the purity and size of the mana stone, Ray knows that it is the work of the Magic Empire. He also learns that Lin and Nor managed to defeat the enormously powerful monster with just a few scratches. However, what shocks him the most is how a huge monster like that could be brought into their kingdom without their guards and Secret Service noticing it. He asks his agents to look out for such irregularities across the nearby cities and dismisses them. At the same time, Nor and Lin are reporting to Fatty at the guild, who asks Nor how he feels after his first monster hunt. Nor is still holding fast to the belief that he just fought a normal goblin, so he tells Fatty that it was harder than he thought it would be, and they only won thanks to Lin. She becomes a fan of his modesty, and Fatty also thinks that Nor just watched from behind while the princess fought the goblin. He gets a bit suspicious on hearing about the red mana stone on its forehead, and asks if it was really a goblin. Nor turns to Lin for confirmation, and she replies that since her teacher called it a goblin, it was just that and nothing more. Fatty is content with thinking that it was a rare monster, and then asks them to hand over the proof of their kill. Nor and Lin suddenly realize that they forgot to collect the goblin's ear before burning it whole. Soon after that, Ray gets reports of odd things happening in nearby cities and villages. In some places, people are hearing strange sounds at night and animals are cowering in fear as they return from the forest. Meanwhile, in other places, the number of disappearing pets is increasing as the forests nearby have suddenly become more silent. Ray believes that this could be the sign of unnatural monsters who have snuck into their kingdom. He immediately orders his men to send search parties to each of the locations and put everyone with detection spells at work. He also orders them to summon the 6 masters of each school because they may need their help. Once his subordinates are gone, Ray shows his frustration as he throws the papers in the air, wondering if the Magic Empire really wants their dungeons so badly that it is going to such lengths. On the other hand, Nor and Lin are enjoying some street food with their reward money. Ultimately, Fatty gave them the money for slaying 1 goblin without proof out of his pocket, because it was Nor's first conquest mission. After they are done eating, Lin tells Nor that she will be heading home now, and he is relieved that he is finally going to get some peace. Just then, Ray arrives looking for his sister. Upon seeing Nor, he immediately makes a request asking him to visit a town in the mountains the next morning. He says that Lin will also join him, and he will make all the arrangements as well as pay him a good fee. Ray doesn't reveal the exact business he has in that town, but Nor accepts it because he seems earnest. The next day, Nor rides the carriage that will take them to their destination. Riding a carriage for the first time in his life was the main reason Nor accepted Ray's quest, and he enjoys every moment of it. On the other hand, Lin appears quite gloomy, and he asks her if she is not interested in the beautiful scenery outside. His attention goes back outside, and he thinks that once he becomes a proper adventurer, he will leave the city to travel. Lin suddenly apologizes for her brother pulling him into this, but he tells her that it is fine because he is getting paid for it. This spoils Lin's mood even further. This morning, Ray had explained that their mission was to go into the town of Tauros on the other side of the mountain, and if nothing happened after staying there for a while, they should head to their neighboring country, the Holy Kingdom of Mithra. He told Nor that as long as nothing happens, he can consider it a paid vacation. Now, as Lin thinks about that, she wishes that nothing really happens. Her bodyguard, Eanes, tells her that she doesn't need to worry about anything because she is here to protect her. The truth is, Ray gave her a top-secret mission before going. He said that their kingdom is going to face a great danger soon, and if it falls, Eanes should take Lin and seek shelter in the country of Mithra. Eanes was shocked and asked if Lin knew about this, and Ray revealed that he had not told her anything because she would surely oppose it. He was really concerned about Lin's safety and told Eanes that she was the only one he could trust with that.
これから王都はもし王都壊滅の方が届いたら
密命を受けている。
リンを連れその時は亡命せよ。言っていない。
リンネブルグ様にこのことは。しかし有事の際に
あいつを安全な場所まで送り届けてくれ。
承知しました。
Back to the present, the group is taking a break, and Eanes apologizes to Nor for dragging him into this. She promises to keep him safe, but he tells her that there is no need for it, because he is good at running away. Eanes insists, saying that there will be no need to run because she has her shield with her. Nor says that he can't see anything, so Eanes decides to show her abilities to him. She creates a holy shield with her special ability and tells Nor that if anything happens, he should hide behind the shield. He is impressed, and then recalls how Lin was saying that Eanes is on the same level as the spear user, Gil, he fought. He has heard that Gil is strong enough to defeat a dragon, and if Eanes is on the same level as him, Nor thinks that they are too strong compared to someone like him who struggled fighting a mere goblin. He thanks Eanes, saying that she is really talented, but those words remind her of her childhood. She lived in an orphanage, and one day she suddenly activated her power. Her friend was curious about it and tried touching it, only to get her finger cut. The caretakers called the principal, and soon the magician, the redhead warrior, and the priest came to the orphanage as well. They asked Eanes to show her abilities, and the magician declared that it was a gift from heaven, which only the rarest people can receive. He told the young Eanes that her power could be a blade that could cut through anything or a shield that could block any attack, depending on how she used it. Eanes was bothered by these heavy words, but the redhead warrior told her that he would train her to use her power correctly. He took her in as a student, and while he trained her ability with him, she kept distancing herself from everyone in the orphanage out of fear of hurting them. However, that was only until she met Nor and learned his name. She had heard that name a lot from the redhead warrior, who was her master as well as adoptive father. One day, as they were hunting monsters in the forest, another warrior told the redhead that a huge group of monsters was approaching them. The redhead was lost in thought and mumbled that he wished Nor was here at times like this. Eanes was curious to know about the person her father acknowledged, but more than that, she was jealous of him. Ever since she met Nor, her jealousy has gotten worse, and she wants to shake that feeling off so that she can protect Lin without any weakness. Just then, Nor notices something moving through the wheat fields and leaving a strange trail. As soon as Lin hears this, she asks the carriage to be stopped. She uses her magic to reveal whatever is hiding in the field, and it turns out to be a huge frog-bat hybrid monster. At the same time, numerous monsters attack the capital at once. Ray commands to deploy the warriors, swordsmen, and hunters to hunt as many as they can, while the thieves are to help the civilians evacuate. King Clay recalls the words of Emperor Derry, who told him that they would regret not accepting his conditions. He believes that Derry is behind this attack, and Rai agrees. He believes that this might just be the start and they should get ready for much worse attacks. Clay asks him about the 6 masters, and Ray replies that all of them are already deployed to face powerful monsters. Meanwhile, the redhead warrior and his troops face 3 goblin emperors in the forest. The swordmaster hunts down lizard monsters in the city, and the hunters, magicians, healers, and thieves are also at work. But the king fears that they have spread them out too thin. On the other hand, just as Lin uncovers the concealment spell on the black dragon, it attacks the girl in front of him. Lin and Eanes recognize the monster as the Black Death Dragon, which is incredibly dangerous. But Nor charges towards it without wasting a moment to protect the girl. He parries the dragon strikes with his black blade, and Eanes remarks that the girl also appeared out of nowhere. Just as Lin broke the concealment spell around the dragon, she knows that it can only mean one thing: the girl is definitely a demon with the power to control monsters. Her brother had once told her about demons who look like humans, but their powers and nature are closer to monsters. He told her that demons are a vile race who destroyed an entire kingdom once, and because of that, humans hunted them down. Their descendants still live on, and Ray was certain that they must hold deep grudges against humans. Back to the present, Eanes believes that the girl is definitely a demon who brought the dragon to the city. When Lin used her spell, it must have caught the girl by surprise. And when her control over the dragon was weakened just for a second, it attacked her. Eanes believes that they should not save someone like her, but Nor rushed to help her even without thinking about it. As she sees him still fighting against the dragon, she wonders what he is thinking. Lin says that, in any case, they need to help Nor, but Eanes stops her, saying that it is already too late for him. Nor thinks that the dragon is quite slow and weak compared to the goblin he fought. He thinks that if he just buys time, Lin will help him out. Suddenly, the dragon shoots its breath at him, and Nor decides to parry it because the girl will get hit if he dodges. However, that was the worst mistake he could make, as the attack explodes, releasing a very powerful poison into the air. Nor immediately starts vomiting black blood, and bloody tears start flowing from his eyes. He realizes that he was just hit by an incredibly deadly poison, and it seems too late because he has started to lose consciousness. He falls to the ground, and Lin tries to reach him, but Eanes blocks her way with a barrier, saying that she will only get herself killed if she goes near the Black Death Dragon. She creates a barrier by combining her shields, hoping to keep Lin safe until she gets to safety. Lin requests her to let her help Nor, but Eanes refuses because her greatest priority is to protect the princess. The dragon suddenly launches another round of poison breath, and Eanes immediately adds more shields to her barrier. She tells the princess to focus solely on her survival, but Lin still uses her purification magic in hopes to save Nor. Her magic is not strong enough to do that, and as the black poison covers everything, Eanes apologizes to Nor that she could not save him. Suddenly, a part of the black dragon's claw hits her barrier, and the poison cloud disappears. Nor is fighting against the dragon despite being severely poisoned. Seeing him like this, Eanes realizes why the redhead warrior wanted Nor's help in troubling situations. She thinks that he is the ultimate shield who will protect people even at the cost of his life, but she fears that he is not going to make it out alive. Meanwhile, Nor keeps on parrying the dragon's attacks and counters its poison breath as well. He gives the dragon an opening to attack him, and he blocks the attack, but that is all he can do before falling to the ground. He puts his hand to his face, and after seeing traces of poisoned blood there, he thinks that he will somehow manage things this time. This is the end of I Parry Everything Episode 5. Thank you so much for staying on this channel and watching our videos. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can keep you updated with our latest content. See you in the next video.